plant, the capacity to handle Monco, the capacity to handle commitments recently made to KJ, and certainly the capacity to handle additional sources of sewerage. The problem here is that our analysis shows that both storm surge infiltration and this exponential increase in water going into the plant combined create a pincer that may cut off actual access to that plant in as little as 3 or 4 years. And so we're at the verge of having to address that issue. It should have been addressed here. Finally, I think there are significant potential impacts here that need to be addressed in an impact statement. Where that's done properly, it might help offset the lack of the comprehensive nature of this analysis and really tie these 3 elements to the comprehensive picture that needs to be tied to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sandra Sortino, followed by John MacDonald.
Ms. Bonsa, thank you for the opportunity tonight. I submit to you 2 concerns with the proposed amendments. First, adoption of these amendments will impose density numbers on municipalities and will expose the municipalities to litigation by third parties. Second, the proposed delayed and segmented secret process imposes these numbers without defining an impact. It's understood that municipalities are required to and should be required to provide affordable or workforce housing. I believe it's also understood that most municipalities within our county have not adequately addressed the affordable housing in their master plans and zoning laws, if they've addressed them at all. This proposed amendment imposes county numbers on municipalities. This amendment may well circumvent home rule, whether intentionally or unintentionally, by making those unprepared municipalities, and even prepared municipalities, more vulnerable to litigation by developers. It may force municipalities to amend their zoning or be sued. The housing amendment recommends that an educational campaign be designed for municipalities on the importance of workforce housing. It suggests that county develop materials to encourage redevelopment. However, if you adopt this amendment prior to education or re-education, the damage has been done. I suggest to you that you, as legislators, the county, has an obligation, whether that obligation be legal, ethical, or as a fiduciary, to go to your constituent municipalities and advise them of these numbers before you adopt these amendments and before you expose them to increased litigation. While you will be told this is a home rule state, I will tell you there are cases where courts assume the role of regional planners, and most well-known state is a 1975 case, so it's been in effect for 35 years by the Court of Appeals, Berenson versus Town of Newcastle. And as to my second concern, how can you adopt these amendments without an environmental impact statement, even a generic EIS at a minimum? It is irresponsible, if not illegal, to segment such impact analysis. How can, as you call it, induced growth, as it is called in a negative declaration also, not have an impact on roads, schools, water, sewer? The negative declaration refers to the 2010 build-out analysis for Sewer District 1. I suggest you review your notes on the recent public hearing on the expansion of that sewer district, and maybe you'll question that negative declaration a little bit. These amendments are premature for adoption. The charter and the law require periodic review only. The general municipal law states that the legislature may, not must, adopt recommendations resulting from that review. I ask that you defer adoption until municipalities are prepared for the potential burdens which will be imposed, and the impact of these recommendations is truly determined through a proper CEQA process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. John MacDonald, followed by Peter O'Neill.
Good enough.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John John Rosano, I'm the supervisor of the town of Wayweanda. I would like to thank you for holding one of your public hearings in Wayweanda too. I think it was a good gesture, a good idea on the legislators to spread them out and scatter them around the county, but give other people an opportunity to...
Did you speak to the microphone?
Give other people an opportunity. I don't know how loud this is going to sound.
I'm going to get close to it.
Other people an opportunity to...
Why don't you just do that?
Hold on.
Sorry.
Anyways, I was saying, glad that they chose to come here. I had one comment on the water master plan. I had spoken with David Church about this, and members from HCR, the county planner, the engineer who was working on this. From one of the proposed lines from the potential, from any wells that may be developed in the Indigo site, we're running down Kirbytown Road. And speaking on behalf of the town board and our town engineers, we felt that it wouldn't be in the best interest of our community to run the water lines down Kirbytown Road. We felt that our community would benefit more if an alternative route, which we had provided maps to the county, if it came down perhaps Joji or somewhere down towards the Minnesota School area and got out to Route 6 closer, and that way it can head down Route 6 towards 17M, and by doing that, it would open up our Route 6, which is our commercial area, to create jobs and tax base for our community, and that would be much more beneficial for our area, and would also, there are other benefits ultimately in the long term with a shorter routes heading out to Goshen and better interconnects with our water and sewer 1 district in right down in Dulce right now. So as I said, I did mention it in a previous meeting, but I just wanted to go on the record and with these comments also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Okay. Next, can you say your last name, please?
Peter Alaimo.
Alaimo. Okay. Next.
There's a name before the I.
That was a little off your right.
That's all right.
Peter Alaimo, followed by Antonio Figueroa.
Thank you. I also came here tonight just to get on the record. I recently attended another meeting where I heard not only the county planning department's presentation, but also a very substantive counter argument from someone who I really don't know her. She was a former supervisor, I believe, of one of the towns. She did a fabulous job. I was very impressed. But I was struck by the fact that she gave so much detail, so much information. She presented in a manner that I would have expected the planners, the commissioner, to give a substantive presentation of that nature. Instead, I see here tonight, it's basically got the same thing. 6 points. All of them, as I understand it, the water board is doing right now. So, number one, the question is, if they're doing all of these right now, why an amendment to the master plan? The other thing that I found interesting, and I brought up at the meeting, was that the lack of mention of sewers. Everywhere I go, when there's water, there's sewers. Yet this plan seems to be functioning. It's out there by its lonely, and it's going to impose an incredible burden on our towns, and yet it doesn't mention how they get rid of all this water. That's poor planning. Very poor planning, if I may say so. I know I have a septic. I got a well, and I have to have a septic. Coming in, going out. I'm not an expert, I'm not a technician, plainly speaking. The other thing I want to ask about is, it was mentioned at the last meeting that the county has a county-wide water district, that it exists. And I know that in my town, where we have water districts, and sewer districts, by the way, the people who reside, who use the water district and the sewer district, they're the only ones responsible for paying for the water and sewer that they use. For instance, I'm not in one, so I have to make sure that I have my own